Hey guys, so it looks like Jennifer Lawrence is crazy. She came out just recently and said that these recent hurricanes and stuff that have been hitting America and whatnot are the result are a punishment for voting for Trump, right? And this is just pure craziness because I don't think the weather cares who voted for who, right? And this is essentially what the Christian right or the fucking these crazy pastors would say whenever a hurricane would hit a place with like a bunch of gay people or something. They'd be like, "Oh, this is what you get for being gay, right? This is what you get for disagreeing with me and doing something that I don't like." And this is what a lot of people on the left, especially a lot of crazy celebrities, have become. They become like these moral fucking arbiters, and they're like, "Oh, you have to do this and do this unless you're a piece of shit, blah blah blah." And these hurricanes are because of you. There's like people like Bill Maher coming out saying like, "Oh, this is a good thing that hit these places because they're climate change deniers, etc." And it's like a lot of people are not saying that climate change doesn't exist. They're disputing the fact that humans have a large effect on climate, or are causing these recent events. Because currently the scientists aren't even saying, or they're not even conclusive on whether our recent activity is impacting these storms, because it is hurricane season. It is peak hurricane season in these areas, and these areas suffer from floods, and they've had floods like this in the past before, right? They have crazy floods like this every like 100 years or so, right? So to say like, "Oh, this proves climate change and this and that," I'm not saying I don't believe in climate change. I believe the climate changes, right? Obviously. And I don't think polluting and all this stuff is good for the environment. It's good for us. But to say like, "Oh, we need to do this, we need to drastically change all of civilization because of this and that," like we've already reached the point of no return. In 2016 they posted this, and like a lot of scientists have come out. I can post some articles below, but we've already passed the point of no return. So it's there's very little we can do unless we invent some new fucking technology or something, right? That, like, I don't know, sucks carbon out of the air. But we still don't even know necessarily if this is supposed to happen, right? Like, we leave a certain ice age, it gets really hot, and then it goes back. Like, I'm not a scientist, I can't say this for sure, etc. But I know that a lot of the hysteria going on right now is just nonsense, right? And it's just trying to scare you, and it's trying to make you do something politically, essentially, because it's like this is what a lot of the climate change essentially is. It's just a huge redistribution of wealth. Like, if you remember the Paris Agreement, that would have only stopped 1% of the required carbon dioxide within the next 100 years, and would have cost trillions and trillions of dollars, right? So that's clearly just a redistribution of wealth. And a lot of celebrities, etc., they're just useful idiots. They're unwittingly pushing this stuff. And they're like the ones whenever a fucking event like this happens. This is no different than when a Republican would take a snowball and say, "Oh, climate change doesn't exist because it snowed," right? That's the same argument, right? But in reverse. So you're not making good points. And like this just reminds me of like old like tribal cultures were used to do when they were afraid of like the weather. After a big weather event would happen, we need to make sacrifices. Throw this fucking wench in the volcano, and then this will appease the gods, and we won't have a crazy weather event, for another little while. And this is what is pretty much being used right now. They're playing on those instincts that we have. They're like, okay, we need to sacrifice to stop all this, and maybe we do need to do some sacrificing if we really are having a huge impact on the environment. And I do think humans do have an impact on the environment. Like, clearly we do pollute. We do pollute the oceans and all these things, and fish out oceans, and like, that's not good. And if you look at certain cities in China where there's like tons of fog or smog or whatever like this, that's clearly not healthy for you. Obviously, we need to reduce these types of pollution. We need to, be sustainable, and we can't use up all of our resources. So, there is something to it. But there is a lot of crazy hysteria going on and fear mongering that, whenever they push this type of stuff, it's just to try, it's always a money grab. It's always trying to get something out of you. So I wouldn't buy too much into this hysteria that people like Bill Maher and Jennifer Lawrence and a lot of the other people right now are doing, specifically on the left, but some people on the right too. But like I said before, we passed the point of no return. So we need to invent some type of thing that takes carbon out of the air, out of the atmosphere, or I don't know, right? Or deal with the fucking warming population or the warming temperature, because that's going to happen. So we need to either figure out, we need to move from these locations. A lot of people are like, oh, they don't have, insurance, etc., etc., and this is what you get because you want to be in a state with liberty and no taxes, etc. But it's like, hey, maybe you just shouldn't live there. Even getting insurance, right? It's like, what, you get another house in like the same area or whatever? Maybe you can build somewhere else, but you get another house in the same area so it happens again and again and again and again, So some places you just need to move, there are, the world does change, and if you have to worry about fucking crazy hurricanes every year, right? Even before all this shit, then yeah, maybe it's not the best place to fucking live, and you should leave, right? And humans migrate all the time. This is going to happen. We came out of an ice age 10,000 years ago where half of the fucking continent was covered in freaking ice. So, and then we moved up, and who's to say that another ice age won't happen? That will happen eventually, but who's to fucking say when, right? It's just a matter of time. But yeah, I just, like I said before, I'm not a fucking scientist. I don't know exactly, what's gonna happen, what our human contribution to climate necessarily, but you can see that it's fucking a lot of hysteria, and in my opinion, it is just trying to manipulate us to get us to give up a lot of our money and resources to the government or to the state, and give up a lot of our rights, because you see a lot of the models that these people have, certain environmentalists, it's like, okay, they want to reduce the population of the planet by drastic numbers. They want to okay, we're all gonna be living like farmer societies, we're all gonna go grow our own food. And it's like, no, why are we gonna devolve, right? That's fucking nonsense. We're not gonna go back to a farming society where 90% of us are farming. That's stupid. But there is something, we do kind of have to have probably less kids, and just be based on resources. We don't want to waste all of our resources, and we don't have, if we're not producing enough resources to sustain our population, then that's not good either. So yeah, there's a lot of things we can do. There's a lot of things we should do to reduce pollution, etc. But it's kind of too late for the whole carbon thing, right? Until we come up with some new technology, we're kind of fucked. So that's all I pretty much had to say. I know it's kind of jumbled and stuff, but if you like my content, subscribe and have a good day.